Thank you, Judy. And thank you for leading Sanctuary in such spectacular ways, always with insight, vision, and compassion. There's one more group of people that I would like to acknowledge, and that's Sanctuary's amazing board of directors. Thank you for being the keeper of Sanctuary's mission to serve survivors of domestic violence, sex trafficking, and related forms of gender violence, and for being the backbone of this extraordinary organization. And if I could ask the board members who are here tonight to please stand. Thank you. One of those board members is our final honoree this evening, Janice Mcevoy. Janice is a partner at the law firm Fried Frank and one of New York's leading real estate attorneys. She's also a fearless advocate and treasured member of the Sanctuary community. Our theme tonight is breaking the silence. When I think of Janice, I see someone who has broken the silence. When we discuss the intersection of poverty and domestic violence at board meetings, it is Janice who openly shares her upbringing with a single father in a trailer park in Washington State, and about being the first member of her family to graduate from high school. When Janice was at Columbia Law School, during the infancy of the domestic violence movement, she was the one who volunteered in family court to ensure that victims could make their voices heard before often skeptical judges. And in 2016, when the United States Supreme Court was hearing a fundamental case on access to reproductive health, it was Janice who was the lead signer of a critical amicus brief for a group of successful professional women, peers of the justices of the Supreme Court, to publicly share their personal stories of having had an abortion. Sanctuary has benefited enormously from Janice's involvement and leadership, and from the generous support of the Fried Frank community, for her passionate commitment to ending gender violence, her outspoken role as an advocate, her razor-sharp skills as an attorney, and her compassion for survivors everywhere. I am so pleased to present Janice with the 2018 Zero Tolerance Award.
Thank you so much, Bill. As Bill said, I started working with Sanctuary when I was a law student, helping women obtain orders of protection to keep their abusers away from them. And I've worked on many pro bono cases with Sanctuary since becoming a real lawyer. And I've attended every Zero Tolerance gala except for one. And look at me now, I am on this scary jumbotron. I went to law school to help protect powerless people who didn't have the resources to protect themselves. And what a great fit Sanctuary has been with that. While I've gone on to protect the rights of wealthy real estate developers and lenders, many of whom I thank for coming tonight, Sanctuary has allowed me to continue my goals from law school, working to make a real difference to help protect the rights of those who can't do it for themselves. When the Sanctuary team let me know about this year's theme, Breaking the Silence, I couldn't help but connect how important that is to me. As Bill said, and as many of you know, I've become a very vocal advocate for abortion rights, starting with, as Bill said, being the lead signer. We won that case. We won that case, but the experience taught me the critical importance of breaking the silence. In the brief, I and more than 100 other women lawyers told the personal stories of our own abortions. Like so many issues affecting women that you've heard about tonight, abortion has become ever more stigmatized, creating a culture of shame that silences women who have exercised their constitutional right to control their own bodies. That silence creates a vacuum that fills with misperception and misinformation. We must fill that vacuum with our own voices. During the Supreme Court case, I wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post. There, I shared that for so many of us, our access to abortion allowed us to decide when or if we would start our families. For me, it allowed me to graduate from high school, to go to college, and more importantly, to become a mother to two amazing children when I was emotionally and financially ready to be the mother that they so deserve to have. Since speaking out publicly, I've heard from countless others. But the best email I got was from a woman who I later learned was a decorated veteran serving in Afghanistan. She wrote, "I've never written to an author of a newspaper article before, but I felt compelled today. The fact that you and others wrote to the court is brave and right and important. I also want to tell you that I, too, am a successful physician and mother because I had an abortion at 19. I've never spoken about it publicly, and my family does not know, but I personally have always felt it was the best choice for me. Thank you for giving me a way to tell them." And it was that last line, "Thank you for giving me a way to tell them," that has resonated with me, that has reinforced how important it is to talk about these shared experiences, to break the silence. I've stayed involved with Sanctuary these many years because they have always worked to break the silence on intimate partner and other forms of gender violence. They've worked to eliminate the shame, to remind us that this happens in all segments of society, that any vulnerable girl can become a victim of exploitation, and that there's no shame in seeking help to get out of an abusive or exploitive relationship. Shame is corrosive. Only by speaking out, by continually breaking out of our silence, can we chase shame out of the shadows. By talking about abortion, by talking about domestic violence, by talking about the trafficking of women, and by working to ensure that all women have control over their own bodies and are free from physical violence and exploitation. I want to thank my family for their support, my husband Johnson, my daughter Maggie, my son Locke, my nephew Jordan, and mostly for not resenting the many hours of pro bono hours that I work that takes me away from them. I'd like to thank my firm for its support and also for not resenting all of those pro bono hours. I want to thank John Mechanic, a co-chair of tonight's dinner, my clients and friends who are here tonight for their support of me and this wonderful organization. And I'd like to thank my personal support network, Helen, my assistant of 29 years, and Candy, my nanny and household manager of 19 years, all of whom are with me tonight. I love you guys. And finally, I want to thank Sanctuary for giving me the opportunity to work with such an amazing organization, one that lets me do the work and makes me feel like I went to law school for the right reason. Thank you so much for the Zero Tolerance Award.